Hey guys, I'm going to show you how to go tubeless with this gravel bike tire. Here we see everything. Here we see all the tools we are going to be using. So the rim needs to be tubeless ready, and the tire also needs to be tubeless ready. In this case, we are actually installing a new tire. This is a 47mm wide tire, so we are dropping the width at the same time. And we also need a tubeless ready, tubeless tire valve. We need a tire lever, and we need a tool to get the valve core out. We're going to use just pliers for that, and a special tool for removing the valve core exists also. I'll leave a link down in the description. It's a bit easier than with the pliers. And we also need some tire sealant. So this is the Oko Magic Milk High Fiber sealant. I'll leave a link down in the description. The recommendation is to use a compressor, but I don't have one, so I'm going to use this floor pump. Using the floor pump is a bit more difficult than using a compressor, but it's very much doable if you follow the method I'm going to show in this video. If you're changing the tire, make sure that you have the correct size. So this existing tire is a 29-inch, so it's kind of the mountain bike size of tire, and this is a 700C, so that should be the correct size, and it's a 47mm compared to the 2.25 inches. This one is a lot narrower. Let's start by opening the new tire package. We don't really need the instructions. So what I like to do is to try and unwrap it and make the tire first look like an actual tire. So try turning it around to get the outside on the outside. Next thing we should do is check the rotation direction. So on this existing tire we have a rotation arrow pointing that way, and it says rotation. So this is the direction it should spin in. So let's find the rotation arrow on this new tire. And here we can see rotation that way. So now we have the tire in the same position. That's important because the disc rotor wheel and the sprockets in the behind will determine which way the wheel goes on the bike, and the tire needs to rotate in the correct direction. So make sure to check that when you install the tire. Next we can let the air out from the existing tire. And also remove the nut on the valve stem. Here we can see that the bead line is following very nicely the rim at an equal distance. So the tire bead is kind of hooked into the rim, and it's seated properly. So by pushing the tire inwards, we can get it out from the hook. that will allow us to just go around the whole wheel, and now we can get to the valve. Let's just push the valve in. Actually, let's start by taking the tire off the rim. So just pull it out with your hand. You can help it with the tire lever if you need to. But now with the tire off from the other side, you can get the inner tube out. So this inner tube weighs about 180 grams. I weighed it, so that's kind of the weight we are saving. But on the other hand, we need to put it says 100 milliliters on a 29-inch mountain bike wheel. Well, it's not that wide as a mountain bike, but it's I'm anyhow putting 100 milliliters in, so I guess that weighs about 100 grams, so we actually save 80 grams. Now we can push the bead out from the other side. So just push in and it pops out. And let's go again around the rim to remove it from everywhere. And we can just pull it over the rim. Here we can see that this is a tubeless ready rim, and it's taped very nicely all around, so we don't need to remove this tape and re-tape it. It's fine as it is. Okay, now let's start putting the new tire in place. And we had the rotor on the top and rotation was that way. Side in first, so let's okay, now we have one side of the bead in. Can put in the valve, so the tubeless valve. It goes in here. Ring on the outer side. That's not supposed to prevent the pressure from coming out. The sealant is supposed to lock the or tighten it from the inside. So just put the lock on the valve stem, and yeah, well, many like to put the logo or the pressure information at the valve. I don't know does that matters that much. Well, it really doesn't matter, but it's just a appearance sake. So let's put the logo here, it looks better. Then you can start pushing in the bead. Let's start at the valve, and try to do as much as possible by hand. And at some point it will just get too tight to go by hand. So then you need to use the tile lever for help. So the correct way of using it is this way, that you have the hook going inside and then you slide the bead in. Okay. Actually, I forgot to, it would have been easier to remove the valve core before installing the valve, but we can do it now. Now with the valve core removed, it will be easier to get pressure inside the tire quickly, and that helps the seating the tire in the correct place. And it would be good to try and get the bead close to the rim so that you have less air leaking outside, because if you're doing it with the floor pump, you won't be as fast as with the compressor, so it might be difficult. But let's see how it goes quickly as possible. And it seems we have a too large leak, so we can try and pull the bead closer to the rim like this. Let's try again. For some reason it seems to be easier in this position. The first tire I did went very nicely in this position, so let's try it again in the upright position. The popping sound is a good sign. That means the bead is popping into place and gets hooked in. So now we can check the bead line going around, and this side is seated properly. Let's check the other side. And again, going around, we can see that the bead line is very equally distributed. So this tire is now seated properly, and now we can let the air out and it will remain seated. So even with the air out, we can see that the bead line is exactly where it's supposed to be. So the next step is to insert the sealant via the valve without the valve core installed. So first let's give the sealant a shake. It has these fibers, so the idea is to get those fibers distributed. And if you have a smaller bottle of this Oko Magic Milk, you could just open the cork and thread it into the valve stem and push it in, but because I can't get straight to it, I can't do it that way. And anyhow, the measurement on the side is not that precise. So you could also use a tube, like a silicone tube from here to there, or you could use a special tool for it. I'll leave a link down in the description. But I'm going to just use one of these syringes from a pharmacy to put in sealant. This is about 15 millimeters if I fill it fully. So this syringe happens to be the correct size for here, but if you get the proper tool for it, it will naturally have the perfect fit. So that's 15 milliliters, and I'm going to put in about 100 millimeters. Now with the sealant in, we can install the valve core. Okay, now with the valve core installed, let's pressurize the tire. We shouldn't add more pressure than what's the max pressure of the tire, but we should go first actually quite high, so that will help the sealant to spread. And then we can lower the pressure to whatever we want as the riding pressure. Now with the tire pressurized, we can rotate the tire and kind of shake it around to make the sealant spread. If you have something to put it through on, kind of spin it on its side, on one side, then rotate it and spin it the other way. That would help the sealant to spread. And well, of course you can just install it on the bike and actually go for a bike ride, and that will also spread the sealant nicely. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Hope to see you in the next one. Bye.